My name is Deb Robinson. I live in Sparta. I've lived there for about 9 years. I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. I don't believe either of my parents were emotionally or mentally equipped to raise the 5 children they had. I'm the middle one. I remember that we would go to church when my parents weren't fighting. And I looked forward to going to church because I knew that when we were there, it was a safe place. I did have aunts and uncles who did teach me about Jesus. And even though my mother was ill-equipped for parenting, I know that she believed in Jesus and she taught us about Jesus. And even every now and then we would go to church camp where we would learn more. And it was at church camp, from what I remember, it was a long time ago, where I did accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And I took great comfort in that. Eventually, my parents did divorce. And so I became a little on the rebellious side. And I decided that nobody was going to take care of me, so I needed to take care of myself. And I promised myself that that's exactly what I was going to do. And I was going to find a way out of the environment that I was growing up in. I then met somebody, and he was quite a bit older than I. So we got married, and we were married for 15 years until it became clear I needed to leave the marriage. And I found myself a single parent of a 10-year-old boy, and I continued to take care of myself. I always felt like I never doubted that there was a God, or I never changed my mind about Jesus or faith, or I always had faith. I was baptized at First Baptist, which was really interesting because it was my son who said, "Mom, we really should get baptized." And I was like, you know what? You're right. We really should get baptized. And so on Christmas Eve, I think it was 1996, we both were baptized. But I wasn't going to church, and I probably wasn't living the best Christian life at that time. So fast forward, I ended up moving to Sparta and still didn't know where to go to church. I had mentioned to my daughter-in-law that I really wanted to go back to church. We chatted about it a little bit, and we decided that we were going to try some churches. We were just going to go together and see what we thought. And so then I got online and I was looking at churches, and I said, I came across Allendale, and I was like, what do you think about checking this place out? And she says, well, let's go. So when we got there, we walked into the building, and my first impression was, these people are really nice. They're welcoming. They were just so nice. So Mark was talking about the fact that God is in control. You don't have to worry about this because God is in control. And then he said something so simple, but I really struggled to choke back some tears when he said, and even now it gets to me, he said, Papa's got this. It was like he was talking to 10-year-old Deb, who never had a papa. And it took me a minute to just soak that up because I was like, oh, Papa's been with me this whole way. I was looking for Papa in everybody else, but I wasn't grasping the fact that my heavenly Papa has been with me this whole time. And there is such a sense of peace that comes with that. And the fact that Mark was preaching right from the Bible, wasn't putting his own spin on things, he was just preaching the truth, that got my attention. And when we walked out that day, I looked at Kelly and I said, she goes, I do too. And so we started coming on a pretty regular basis. And I haven't gone to any other church. It's a ways from Sparta, but when I was discussing it with a friend of mine, they said, well, how far would you travel for your family? Well, now that you put it that way, I guess a half an hour is not all that bad. So, and I also believe that since I've been coming to Allendale, I've become pretty bold about talking about my faith. And so we're supposed to go out there and be the church. I think I can be the church. I've been the church at work. It wasn't particularly comfortable, but I felt the need to say something. And, you know, I just feel like, I feel it's important to be committed to your church family. It's time to make that commitment. So that's how we started coming to ABC. Jesus does change everything. Once you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, I don't know how I could live without Jesus. Don't want to live without Jesus because he's got this. Papa's got this.